Hello everybody and welcome to my library. Today I have a small book haul for you, my last for a couple of weeks, because I went a bit nuts in September as far as buying books was concerned, so I have imposed upon myself a book buying ban. We'll see how I manage to stick to it. There are still a number of books in the mail and they should arrive in the next few days, but apart from that, no more new books for at least the next 4 weeks, if not longer. But the last few books that made it through before I imposed this book buying ban upon myself are the following: Joyce Dennis, Henrietta Sees It Through, More News from the Home Front, 1942 to 1945. This is the second volume in the Henrietta letters. I already loved the first volume so much, and I love this one just as much. You can tell that the letters are getting slightly bleaker in tone as the war continues and as the hardships of the people back at home increase. The letters are still very charming and very warm-hearted, and I just love this so much. I've already got about halfway through, not quite halfway but almost halfway, and yeah, I love it so much. I wish there were more of them, but yeah, 2 rather slim volumes. And then I bought a few more books from this lovely Bloomsbury series. I bought Frank Baker's Miss Hargreaves, and this sounded very intriguing. It's about 2 young men who invent an 83-year-old woman, Miss Hargreaves, and then one day she suddenly stands in front of them and she comes for a visit, and yeah, so that sounded very intriguing. I'm looking forward to that. I also have D.E. Stevenson's Mrs. Tim of the Regiment. I've heard so many good things about Stevenson, so I will try this and jump into it. And I have Rachel Ferguson's The Brontes Went to Woolworth. And this is actually a very strange book. It's a first-person narrative, and the narrator is a young woman in her early 20s, and she comes from a family of girls. She has a couple of sisters, and in order to pass the time, the girls invent stories. And they invent stories about their toys, they invent stories about people they meet or people they might not have met, about actors and actresses. And when you read the novel, you sometimes can't tell whether what the narrator is telling you is actually the truth or whether that is one of the fictions of the girls. So very intriguing, very interesting. Then I also bought this book, A Vicarage in the Plits, The Wartime Letters of Molly Rich, 1940 to 1944. The Rich family took in a young Jewish boy from Austria, Otto, and in 1940 he was deported by the British government. He was deported to Australia, and he ended up in a working camp there. And she wrote him letters in order to, to cheer him up and to make sure that he knew that they hadn't forgotten him. And yeah, so I am looking forward to that. The fact that the British deported so many evacuees and fugitives from Germany and from Austria is something that is not really mentioned in history books. I certainly hadn't seen it mentioned before. And the file on this particular deportation on the ship Otto was on, and the situation on the ship must have been horrible. The file on this has been closed until 2040. Of course, that is an interesting way to deal with the bits of one's history that are not so nice. Just, you know, to shut it up and hope to, you know, to keep it shut up until it finally goes away and until the last survivors are no longer alive. I think this is a really horrible way to deal with history. It's a coward's way to deal with history like this. You have to face also the bad bits about your own national history. Otherwise, how are you going to learn from your mistakes? Well, so one last thing about this book. It's kind of hefty book, slightly oversized. Very nice thing. It comes with illustrations, and this is Molly Rich, the woman who wrote the letters. The nice thing is that it comes with photographs, with family photographs from that time. So this really helps you to envision the scene and to envision the surroundings. Molly Rich talks about the everyday life in the vicarage in these letters, and yes, I think it's always quite interesting to see pictures and to see how these things really looked like. Now, the next two books I picked up today in a bookshop in my old hometown, and I can never pass this bookshop without stepping in, and once I've stepped in, of course I have to buy a book or two. And in this case I bought Terry Pratchett's A Plink of the Screen, collected shorter fiction. I had actually not known that this had come out, so I was quite excited when I saw this. I also picked up Dodger by Terry Pratchett. This is about Dickens' Dodger. So I'm looking forward to delve into these two Pratchett books. And that was it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you will join me again for my next video. Bye bye.